Hi, everyone. You know, my last YouTube on the Great Awakening I see happening in the world was filled with a lot of excitement and joy, and I still feel that way. Humanity truly does seem to be waking up, despite all that's occurring on the planet around the coronavirus. And yet, I've realized I really need to balance that joy out with the other side of what is also happening. You know, the fear, the grief, the despair, and in some cases, the horror that so many are also experiencing, sometimes right alongside the tremendous joy and excitement they're feeling. Even though the mainstream news is probably exaggerating and distorting the events and the suffering that's occurring worldwide, some of the citizen journalists are probably downplaying it also. It's just really hard for anyone, I think, to truly get a grasp on what is actually happening anywhere, because it's all in such a flux. You know, things are happening so quickly. And there seems to be so much going on behind the scenes that no one really knows about as well. But I do think that no matter what the truth about anything really is, many of us have been experiencing, at least some of the time, a sense of grief and despair about all of it, the intense suffering so many are experiencing, especially in certain places like New York City and Italy and countless other countries, many of which we probably don't hear much about at all. And this is not only about the virus epidemic, but also the global financial collapse that's occurring and how this is affecting so many people. Just seems that all the social, political, health, and financial structures in the world seem to be crumbling all around us at this point. And at least externally, our future does look dire. And then, as if all of this weren't enough, you might also be aware of perhaps one of the most horrific truths that is slowly coming into the awareness of many, and that is the situation in which severely traumatized and abused children are currently being rescued. Children who have been captured, raped, and tortured by a very dark elite of Satanists for many decades, if not longer. So even if you've been aware of this situation with the children that's been described in many internet posts and YouTubes over the past few years, if you've not gone all the way down this particular rabbit hole, this situation can still grab you in the gut and like perhaps nothing else is happening out there. And if this information is new to you, it may especially be difficult to not only take the information in, but even to initially believe it. And you may not be wanting to know anything about it, but it seems important that if we as the human race are truly to wake up, we have to have at least some idea of what has been happening on our planet for actually hundreds, even thousands of years, in order to know and understand the full depth of the nightmare we are waking up out of. And for this reason, I include links below if you're willing to at least dip your foot into the information that's available on these children. If you can, do your own research on the subject. You'll see that there's actually quite a bit out there. Now, of course, the rescue part of the story that's apparently happening now is wonderful. It seems as if this is already beginning to happen in New York City. Those MASH centers that are set up in Central Park are officially being described as overflow emergency centers for virus patients. And this may be partially true, but it's also clear from the clip I include below that someone took of the situation when they were there, as well as all the information on the internet about these children, that there is much more to the story than is being told by the mainstream press. And the whole situation is horrifying. just on every level. Now, if you're aware of the teachings about the experience of ascension into the fifth dimension that we're all making, and how we're simply living through very tumultuous transitional times, as has been predicted, and how at some point, not that far off, we will be seeing and participating in a whole new world, and it doesn't look quite so awful at this point. It's still very uncertain and scary, but at least you have a sense that we're all going to basically come out of this phase at some point and see the beginning of a bright new world. But even with this perspective, it doesn't mean that fear, despair, and grief don't grab you from time to time. Living in real life right now is generally a challenging task, no matter who you are, but especially if the external events are touching you in your personal life and relationships. In a certain way, we're just all being traumatized by them. And that's why I am creating this YouTube. I've had experience over the last 50 years or so in assisting people through profound grief and pain. And I'm hoping I can assist you too if you're struggling with this. In general, I've always noticed that we all naturally tend to want to just push past emotional pain when we're feeling it, right? Somehow resist it by either distracting ourselves away from it in some way, or denying it, or taking substances to help us forget it, or trying to hide it in some way. If we have some kind of emotional and spiritual understanding, sometimes we might practice techniques to try to heal the pain, and this can be good, but they're often just kind of a sneaky way of trying to get rid of the pain. Maybe we feel shame that we're feeling such low vibrational emotions as fear or despair or something. And yet, when we try any of these tactics to free ourselves from the pain, they never really work, do they? At best, the painful emotions may eventually sink into our unconscious, and we can be unaware of them for a while, but then all we need is something else similar to what we've stuffed away to happen, and up comes the old pain again. We haven't really dealt with it. So I've learned over the years, as you might also have, that you can't just try to avoid feeling traumatic feelings you feel. You can't stuff them down. You have to somehow deal with them so that they can be healed and released. And the best way I know to do this is to focus on the body where the pain is actually stored, and to get out of the mind, which really can't help us that much with this kind of thing. And you need to fully meet the pain and grief and fear without any resistance and without judgment. And because of the depth of grief that may be arising in you during these times, and because of this natural impulse of wanting to resist it, it may at first take some courage and some time and concerted effort in learning how to transmute pain when you first try this. But in my experience, once you become practiced, and however you learn to do it, it can be completed successfully much more quickly when it happens. So that's what I'm going to be doing here, assisting you through a process that can help you to reach into the grief and horror and fear you may be experiencing during these times, so that you can meet them with compassion, transmute them into light, and then release them. And I'm sorry I can't effectively play music in the background to make it easier for you to relax into a deep state. I can no longer find the program I used to do this with. So hopefully you'll just be able to shift into a meditative state with just my words. So do your best now to just sit back and get comfortable and relaxed. Close your eyes and take some deep breaths. And let's first of all call in all the celestial help that you resonate with. It might be divine light, or angels, ascended masters, galactics, your higher self, the Holy Spirit, the Christ, the Buddha, whatever feels right for you. Call in all the support you need and allow yourself to be surrounded, embraced, and filled with the radiance of light that they bring. And just feel yourself sitting in a brilliant and powerful column of light. And keep breathing. And now be aware that your attention may still be on thoughts in your mind. Maybe you're aware of your feelings on a mental level and of the situations and the solutions your mind is trying to find and how to get rid of the emotions. And just let that be okay. Mentally become aware of the painful emotions you're experiencing, but then do your best to now direct your focus down into your body where the pain actually resides. And this is usually in your belly or your gut and in your heart. This whole area is where most of your pain body is located. It's where your body experiences pain as a gripping or as a contraction. And just gently put your hand on this area over the pain. And become aware of how intense fear may be arising in you when you first focus there. But just keep taking deep breaths into the pain, into your gut and heart area. And you will find you can keep steady in your focus and simply allow the fear and the pain to be there. Just keep breathing into the pain. And you can gently speak to it as you might to a young and frightened child. You know, this is your inner child. That's where it lives. And if you find yourself back in your mind again, just gently bring your focus back to your body and keep breathing deeply into the pain, into the confusion, into the constriction that's there. And as you do this, you will likely begin to feel a sense of relief beginning to occur. This is because you are meeting the pain without resistance and without judgment. The pain is feeling seen and accepted and acknowledged. And you know, this is all any emotional pain ever wants. Be fully experienced, allowed, and accepted. The body's pain you feel is its call for you to do this. So now see if you can actually embrace the grief or fear or despair and any other emotions that may be arising with it, including those from any memories of similar past experiences that may be coming present. This often happens too. And meet it all with full and complete compassion for yourself. How miserable it is that you should have to experience all this pain. You know, feel the child crying in there. Just allow your heart to embrace it with compassion and love and understanding. You may be amazed at the peace that can arise when you experience the gentle salve your compassion for yourself brings to you. And so, when you finally begin feeling a sense of quiet and peace, and fully being with yourself like this, it is now time to call in divine light or angels to take all the pain and the grief and the fear from you. See it all being wrapped in light and lifted out of your body, and then transmuted back into its original form, which happens to be, paradoxically, light. It's distorted light. And at this point, when you have completed the release of the pain from your body, it may take a little bit, but just keep seeing it leaving your body. See the light just moving in there, taking it away. When this is happening, then it's time to begin sending divine light and your love and compassion to all those in the world personally experiencing the horrors that are occurring. Maybe, first of all, bring to mind all those suffering from the virus. Think about their loved ones and all medical staff that are assisting them. And focus on those who have lost their jobs and are despairing about how to feed themselves and their families. Just stream your light to all these people, all across the world. And then focus on the children who are being rescued at this point. Just shower them with divine love in every way you can think of. See them healing. See them being embraced with love and caring. And finally, focus on the military people and the medical staff who are rescuing the children. Most of them are likely totally unprepared and traumatized by the horrors that they're encountering. At the same time that you're doing all this, continue bringing light and love into your own heart and gut as you do this. Feel yourself completely enveloped in the embrace of divine, radiant light. You may find you're experiencing yourself as the large, expanded being you inherently are, floating somewhere out in space, looking down on the earth and all its inhabitants. You're somehow detached and free, and yet still totally connected to everyone and everything there through your powerful love. So that's basically the process. But I know that it's not always easy to remember all these steps, especially when you're suddenly struck with a sense of pain or horror that is so powerful that you can't remember any of these steps clearly. You know, your mind just freezes. So if this ever happens, here is a quick and easy memory technique that might help. I've called it Remember Your ABCs. Okay, so A, ask for assistance. That's the A. B, breathe. Be with your body. and see, call in light to carry away the pain. Kind of cute, huh? It's easy to remember, especially if you get the basic idea of what the whole process is about. So you may find other ways to essentially heal your pain that work better for you. And if so, practice them and see how you can fine-tune your personal method to release the grief and the fear you've taken into your body. Don't let it fester. Don't try stuffing it down. It's just going to come up again. And each time you do accomplish this, you do manage to release it, remember to give yourself love and appreciation for the service you're doing, not only for yourself, but for the whole planet. You know, every time you can fully release pain from your being, you are serving all of humanity. And you can realize that this is a good part of what you've come to Earth this time to do, to help clear out all the dark distortions and mutations that have been created and developed in the third dimension over the last 26,000 years or so. You know, you're here to help transmute these things into light. And in doing this, you will have created a bubble of heaven around you that many can find solace and nurturance from. And in this way, you are accomplishing an important part of your spiritual mission. So I give much love to you, my friends. May we all come through this knowing ourselves to be the magnificent spiritual beings of light that we are and always have been. Many, many blessings to you.